After a wonderful season to date, the 2023 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup curtain closer brings us back to Qatar as the revamped Lusail International Circuit plays host to the final two races of the year. Indonesia's rising star Veda Pratama clinched the title last time out in Malaysia, but there's still plenty to play for in the Middle East. Two races await us again this weekend, and the first is coming up very shortly under the floodlights, although it looks pretty dark out there at this moment in time. I'm sure that's just the camera angles. Thought we were going to get some highlights from Friday's action, but looks like we're not. Veda Pratama once again topping the session yesterday, and as I mentioned, in just under 10 minutes time we will get racing underway here for the final round of the season. The Doha skyline you can just about make out in the background there. Stunning views as ever when the floodlights are on here at the Lusail International Circuit. The first time we've been back in Qatar since March 2022. Well over a year and a half since we've been to this fantastic venue, which has had a facelift and then some. Fantastic to see the fans flooding in for Sprint Saturday here in Qatar. And the first race of the weekend is about to get underway in the Asia Talent Cup. My name's Elliot York, and alongside me for race 1 and race 2 tomorrow afternoon, not morning, tomorrow afternoon is Fran Wild. Fran, it's been a fantastic season up to date, and of course last time out in Malaysia in race 2 we had our champion crowned for 2023, and a very deserving champion as well.
Yes, exactly. A very deserving champion. A really impressive year from Veda Pratama. Of course, we saw race-winning form from him last year in the ATC as well, but this season just hit the ground running. Also, no injury struggles either, which he did have to contend with last season. But yeah, incredible year. I think, no one can argue that he definitely deserves that crown. But it's also extremely impressive, the competition we've seen him getting this year, especially from a couple of very fast rookies, and the likes of Eamon Adaki, who was also a rookie last year, and Sean in the first round before a bit of a tougher one, but he's had some great form of late as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. And of course, Shinya Izawa still looking to stamp a bit of authority on it after runner-up in the Cup last year, and this year so far not quite had the pace maybe he would have also been expecting.
Yeah, Izawa without a victory so far this season. Finished second in the Cup standings last year. Missed the first race of the season because he was on Red Bull Rookies Cup duty. But yeah, has finished second 3 times as Izawa this season, so he's absolutely desperate for that P1. He finished on the podium in Malaysia in race 1, and I spoke to him afterwards and he said, I'll see you tomorrow, but tomorrow it'll be P1. Unfortunately, it wasn't for Izawa. But yes, a race winner here last year. He'll be hoping to repeat that feat once again. As you can see, the number 7 of Veda Pratama lining up on pole position. Confirmation there, your 2023 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup winner. 7 wins to his name, the young Indonesian, 8 podiums. The only mistake he's made all season long was in fact in race 1 back in Malaysia when he crashed out of the lead on lap 2 in the wet conditions. But what a way to respond in race 2. The pressure was on his shoulders, Fran. He had a commanding lead, a 55-point lead heading into race 2, knowing he had to get the job done. But no matter what your points lead is, the pressure's still there on the young man's shoulders. And even Pecco Bagnaia said in Valencia that he had a commanding lead, and it was the most stressful weekend of his career. So no matter how big your lead is, you still got to get the job
comparison done. Absolutely love that comparison. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's true, and obviously it's not a position that Pratama's really been in before, especially these guys. I mean, MotoGP is its own thing as well, of course, the Premier Class World Championship, but this is the first kind of really international stage that these guys have raced on and really had that at stake. So yeah, it's a big prize to certainly, get the job done, and I was going to say clear it up. Can't speak English very well today, but yeah, for sure. And obviously after that crash, like you said, it was out the lead. It was in really tricky conditions. It was I don't want to say it was a funny race, but what I mean by that, it was a bit of a strange race because the conditions were definitely difficult, but they were far from dangerous. They were just tricky, and unfortunately Pratama did get those wrong, and yeah, it was a bit of a race of attrition, that one in Malaysia. I think we had 10 out of 19 over the line in the end. But here we go in very different conditions now, though, in the desert. And like you said, I feel like you're not quite up to speed with how quick the sun does disappear here, because even since we've got to the commentary booths, it's definitely darkness now. And you can see the lovely shine off the visor there of Shinya Ezawa under these floodlights. It looks so spectacular. And even Pekka Bagnaia, another mention for him, changing the colour of his helmet just because it looks nicer. And the liveries of these ATC machines are basically that livery as well, and it does look lovely.
Certainly does. The red and white of Pekka Bagnaia has changed his helmet, and the red and white of the Asia Talent Cup Hondas that these guys will be racing today and tomorrow. Race 2 coming up at 2:35 local time before all the action kicks off tomorrow for race day. Huge race day, of course, on the Grand Prix scene. Here is the Qatari rider Hamed Al Sahoussi. Finished on the podium here last year in race 2. Not had it all his own way this year, though. Qualified down in P13. Al Sahoussi, I think it's safe to say, would have been hoping for a little bit of a better season. Not stood on the podium as of yet, but he'll be hoping to climb the places today and tomorrow to try and at least finish in sort of the top 6 area.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, he has been on the podium here before, obviously home round, so lots and lots that he wants to achieve here, not only on his home turf, but I'm sure in front of lots of friends and family. He's been racing in Europe as well, in the ATC, getting lots of experience, and I think he'll probably, just be a little bit disappointed maybe with some of the results so far this season, and looking to end on a high. And at least it is very much a circuit he'll know. Let's see if he can convert that home knowledge a little bit and move forward in this one. We have seen him do that before as well, and move forward as races go on. But there's some very stiff competition out there today and tomorrow, including Riichi Takahira, who I think will be another one looking to move a little bit forward. As you can see, already a winner in his rookie season. But yeah, it's a very packed grid, isn't it? That top 6 is very, very fast. And then Poitou-san as well, taking that dream win on home turf. There's so much to play for with these guys. They're so very quick.
Certainly is. A jam-packed front couple of rows. Takahira searching for his first podium since the first round in Malaysia, where he won the first race and finished second in a couple of great battles with the eventual cup winner Pratama. Finished a close 4th in race 2 back in Malaysia last time out. We visited Malaysia twice this year, of course, before coming to Qatar for the final round of the season. So watch out for the number 9 of Takahira, a rookie, of course. Zen Matani is another rookie. He's looking to try and finish second in the overall standings. That's an interesting battle we're going to keep our eyes on. Obviously, Pratama's wrapped up the title. He is uncatchable, but Eamon Adaki currently sits in P2 in the standings, with Poitou-san in 3rd, Matani in 4th, and then Ogiwara in 5th and Takahira in 6th. Takahira, an outside chance of finishing 2nd. He's got to hope results go his way and then some. But Adaki, Poitou-san and Matani in particular are well in the hunt for P2. If Matani can do it in his rookie season to finish 2nd, that'll be a phenomenal job from Zen Matani, the Japanese youngster. But I think Eamon Adaki comes in as the slight favourite, not only because he is currently sitting in 2nd place, but he's got a win under his belt back in Malaysia last time out, and then 6 of the podiums as well this season. So Eamon Adaki has enjoyed success this year, and if he can wrap up P2 in the overall standings, that'll be a job well done for Adaki.
It certainly will. So can hear, I don't know how well people at home watching can hear that lovely little horn to signal we're about to get underway. So here is the grid. So we have on pole position by an incredible margin, do not adjust your set, Veda Pratama. Then we have Ogiwara and Adaki alongside, followed by a row 2 of Izawa, Mitani and Takahira. And then, like I said, a winner already this year, Poitou-san in 7th on the grid, alongside Hafi and Singapong after an impressive debut. Then we're on to Melandri, Gading and Razyadan on row 4, and then Al Sahuti, Bin Laden, Dawisi, Chavan, Nicholas, Russo on the next few rows, with Putra rounding out the grid today for these races here in Qatar. So, sorry, I almost cut you by the surprise there, didn't I?
No, all good.
You
all
missed
good.
the best name on the grid of Chessie Melandri.
Yeah, class
So
name.
here we go then. We are underway under the floodlights for the warm-up lap for this final round of the season. I'm still very confused by both the change in hour schedules, racing in the evening, and also with the being in Qatar in November. But it is the ultimate, or as we native speakers like to say, final round of the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup for this season. And there you can see the standings, like Elliot was saying, it's very, very close in that battle for second overall between Adaki and Puetisan. Mitani not very far behind either. That wouldn't be a big gap even if we just had one more chance to get those 25 points, but we've still got 2 races to go. So there's everything to play for in that fight for runner-up. It's lovely paintwork around this Lusail International Circuit as well now, isn't it? It looks absolutely beautiful, and I'm delighted we get to see them race under the lights.
Yeah, it's a completely different spectacle under the lights, isn't it? It's a great track, it's a great layout, but in the daytime it's not too dissimilar to a lot of other tracks we go to in terms of the scenery, but the lights just adds that extra little bit of spice, extra little bit of detail that I think everyone loves. It's unique, and that's why we love coming here. And as we've said, the work that's been done here, millions of pounds, sorry, not pounds, millions of money spent on this venue to...
Reals,
that's the one. Spent on this venue to make it an absolute state-of-the-art place to come to. The rider that they're all going to be chasing in this race and tomorrow as well is the number 7 of Pratama. Over a second advantage Pratama had in qualifying. We saw that back in Indonesia, and back in Indonesia it was Ayman Adaki who was able to go with him in race 1, and what a spectacle we had back at the Mandalika circuit about a month ago. But in race 2, Pratama cleared off into the distance. I think the opening couple of laps are going to be very, very interesting and crucial here for the riders to try and take it to Pratama, if indeed that advantage is what qualifying said, 1.2 seconds. We do see qualifying in the Asia Talent Cup potentially mislead us sometimes, but when you put it on pole position by 1.2 seconds, then it's pretty clear that you've got a little bit of margin in hand. The number 7 of Pratama rolls up to pole position for the 4th time this season. The number 14 of Ayman Adaki will be lining up on the outside of the front row, and Ogiwara on the number 16 in the middle of it. 12 laps coming up for race 1. Another 12 laps coming up tomorrow, of course. What will happen the next 25 minutes or so? You can see fans lining up in the VIP areas here in the new pit building at the Lusail International Circuit, and we are ready to get underway for race 1. The green flag waves in the background. The lights will come on at the top left-hand side of your screens. The lights are taking a while to come on. A very, very long time. Here they are then, revs up, and we are underway for race 1, and it's a great launch from pole position from Veda Pratama. Exactly the launch the number 7, the reigning champion, would have wanted to get. Now it's all about tucking into the slipstream for the riders behind. It's Ogiwara on the number 16 who slots into P2. Who's that hanging it around the outside? Contact on the outside. It was Puetisan on the number 20 who made a good start from row 3, but contact with, I think, Ogiwara or Adaki at turn 1 has just pushed Puetisan wide. Drama then at turn 1 on lap 1.
There was indeed. There was no drama for Pratama then. I just realised that rhymed as I started to say it. Perfect position for the Indonesian on the number 7 machine at the moment then. But Ogiwara not very far behind at all and gaining a couple of metres there, even just visually as we watch on. But I have no doubt that gap will surely get smaller and smaller once again, especially as they get back onto the main straight with the slipstream coming into effect. But yeah, after that little wobble early on then, no harm done, and everyone line astern under this first ever night race for the Asia Talent Cup.
Ozawa slinging it up the inside down at turn 6. Not the start Ozawa would have wanted from the spearhead of row 2, but he's making up places already, is the number 21 rider. Ogiwara is going with Pratama at the front, and as you can see, the lead is stretching out in terms of the top group. Puetisan there just dropped down a few places after that turn 1 contact. I'd like to get a replay once the race just settles down a little bit to see what happened there on the outside of turn 1. Pratama then into the fast sweeping section of turn 12. They keep it banked right for 13, and then keep it banked right again for 14 before the left-hander of 15 then comes into play, and then it's down to the final corner. Ogiwara right up behind the number 7, and Adaki on the number 14 is going with them as well. Pratama just a little bit out of shape there, coming out of the penultimate corner of turn 15, and of course, once they round turn 16, the right-hander will be completing lap 1 of 12, and this is the kilometre-long back straight. You can see there, clear track ahead for the riders in the lead of the race. Pratama is just about going to lead over the line, is he? Yes, but Ogiwara pulls out of the slipstream on the number 16. If he can make a move early doors, this is exactly what the riders would have wanted, just to try and disrupt the number 7's rhythm early on. But it's Adaki then, 2 for 1 down at turn 1. Used the slipstream to great effect, did Adaki, and he is into the lead.
He is indeed. I wasn't sure if he's quite going to get that stop there, but great job from the number 14 then, and still a little bit aggressive, but certainly not over the line there, hanging on to that hard-fought lead. But Pratama looking like he's in very much of a hurry to get back through, and there he goes then. Oh, nice and close, but nicely done for the number 7. I can't speak today. And Ogiwara as well then, capitalising on that from Adaki, that little duel. And we've got some close action here in the front three then, and Izawa not very far behind at all. Look at that gap then behind the number 21. There's a bit of space starting to emerge there.
How often have we seen that in 2023? Pratama loses the lead, and within a couple of corners he's already back in the lead. Super aggressive, super clean on the number 7. He does not want anyone else to lead this race. He knows the pace he has in hand if qualifying was telling us the truth. But the riders, Pratama just getting on the blue paint there. He's got to watch out. Clearly pushing on in the early exchanges is Pratama. He knows the riders are still right behind him. A couple of them anyway. This is the group just a little bit further back. Got to box clever for the next few laps, I think, this group, if they've got any chance of trying to bridge that gap. It's already up to over a second, Fran.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there. Most definitely, yeah. Like I said, there's some serious space emerging between this kind of trio and then Izawa, and then that group just behind them that at the moment is led by the number 19 of Hafi, then the Malaysian rider there in 5th. But I don't know, they're already, I think, out of slipstream reach as well, so they'll really have to hope that these guys at the front start to battle very, very hard to allow them to just cut that gap. And even Izawa at the moment, let's see what difference that straight makes for the number 21. He does look like he's made up a little bit of ground there again. Oh, and then it's gone. So he's all okay then, but he'll want to try and get back on that much cleaner racing line as soon as possible. And yeah, try and do all that hard work again then. And it looks like it could be a trio fighting it out for this podium today then.
Yeah, that's a costly mistake from Izawa. Did well to rebound from a little bit of a slow start, did Izawa, but then a mistake down at the final corner as they ended lap 2. Adaki up the inside on the number 14. I thought he was a little bit out of shape and headed into the car park at turn 1, but he somehow got his on the machine stopped down into turn 1, sets the fastest lap of the race at 2:12.490. It's a good lap from Adaki, so he takes the lead back from Pratama and holds it through turns 2 and 3. Ogiwara just waiting in the wings there on the number 16. Is he going to wait for long though? Pulls up on the inside of Adaki. Pratama goes round the outside and is back into the lead by turn 4.
He is. So yeah, I was just looking at the tiring screen then when you yelled 2, and I was like, what's happened? But yeah, absolutely then. This trio, it's pretty wide in the background there as well. Whoever's at the lead of that group, is it if it's still the number 2 of Zen Mitani. But this trio then, they're still managing to make some space back to that second group. And here is a replay then of turn 1. Whoa. Oh, that was a late decision, but nicely done from the number 14, wasn't it? Great stuff then. Ayman Adaki, the Japanese rider, taking the lead from Pratama, and Ogiwara just there looking on. But so far then, it looks like certainly Izawa has not fallen back into the clutches of that second group. But let's see what he's got, because we've still got 10 more laps to go here. And it wasn't really a speed deficit or lack of speed that's seen him drop that far off, remember. It was that bit of a mistake. Yeah, it looks... Whoa, speaking of, that was a bit of a wobble there, and another one as Adaki capitalises then and heads through into the lead. They're all looking over the shoulder now. Maybe that's exactly what Shinya Izawa needed, but all back on then and a little bit calmer, and it's Ayman Adaki still in that race lead after those wobbles, and Ogiwara once again wondering if they're going to maybe calm down a little bit, if they're going to fight this out over the next 10 laps.
That is exactly what Izawa needs to happen. You can see the gap visibly closer. We'll get it across the line at the start of the lap. lap, Ozawa was 1.7 seconds down on the leading trio. Pratama leads over the line once again. What's the gap down to Ozawa over the line? It's down to 1.3 seconds, so a good 4-5 tenths of a second as Adaki once again dives up the inside. A late manoeuvre down into turn 1, but it doesn't work out this time around. But we saw there, Fran, turn 14, I think it was, when Pratama just got it out of shape on the exit. Just, I think, caught a little bit too much curb on the inside. I think we're going to get a replay of it now. Just can't quite see that in the background, but obviously a lot out of shape, loses a good chunk of time, and Adaki says thank you very much, I'll be taking profit of that to take the lead of the race. Pratama, of course, then a couple of moments later retakes the lead once more and still holds the lead, but he knows he's got a battle on his hands. Yeah,
I think very much so. And yeah, Adaki needs absolutely no second invitation. We've seen him creating his own invitations already so far, so after seeing Pratama just a little bit out of shape there, took over once again. But like you said, and now the graphic as well has come up to show quite how much time Shinya Ozawa has been able to claw back last time around. So after he had his own wobble, he now may be able to get back into this, especially if they continue to take chunks out of each other at the front. Of course, when they're fighting it out, you're losing lap time, and it's just allowing Ozawa to get his head down and really concentrate on just trying to get back in that battle. And if he is sort of just over a second off them now, maybe a couple of tenths more, he will start to get back into feeling the effect of that slipstream. So he could be one to watch over the next couple of laps, but let's see, because if they see him coming, they could as well decide to maybe just calm it down and put the hammer down again.
He's lost around about a tenth of a second on this lap as Ozawa. Pratama's led all the way around this lap so far, and Pratama, as we've mentioned, does have superior pace to the riders out there. This is Takahira on the number 9 machine. Ozawa in a bit of a race of his own there. The leading trio still locked together. 8 laps to go once they cross the line, and it's important to say, Fran, as well, the finish line has been moved significantly further back. There it is as they cross the line once again. Pratama sets the fastest lap race to 2:11.5. That's 4 tenths quicker than Pratama went in qualifying earlier on today. So a fantastic lap from Pratama, but it's not enough to hold the duo behind him.
Immediately then loses the race lead and second place. But yeah, that's a very, very fast lap then from the number 7. But yeah, these guys then immediately attacking, taking that opportunity to move through on Pratama. It is an interesting one because, of course, we've seen him take some runaway wins, but we've also seen incredible tactics from the Indonesian. And when it is sort of 4 laps to go, he'll suddenly make his way to the front, put the hammer down, and really make that difference and make sure he doesn't have to take too much risk fighting anyone else in the final stages of a race. But so far, I'm very sure that Adaki and Ogiwara are more than aware of that having happened a few times this season and last year, in fact, as well. So yeah, their mission as we start to get into those final 4 laps is to make sure they're both still with Pratama and can still attack him if that is what he's planning to try and do here. But Ozawa then, yeah, lost out a little bit more last time around, didn't he? Maybe it was just those wobbles that were bringing the number 21 back into this.
Unfortunately for Ozawa, he's got no one to sort of follow close behind and gain a little bit of slipstream. So Ozawa, although he's got good pace and he's into obviously a good rhythm, he's in a lonely 4th place. These guys are obviously scrapping it out a little bit and losing time in doing so, but they can use each other's slipstreams throughout the lap. It's a fast and flowing circuit, is the Lusail International Circuit. Of course, the 1 kilometre long front straight as Takahira there dives at the inside of Matane. I thought those two would be a little bit further up than they are, the 2 Japanese riders.
I thought it'd be, we've seen that classic front group quite a few times this season of sort of the riders who were in that top 6, 7, 8 all managed to escape. Shout out to Singapong as well, doing a really great job after debuting not so long ago, right on the tail of compatriot Puerto-san. Good job. But yeah, it's an interesting one, this one, isn't it? We've definitely got these 3 with just that little bit of an advantage over the rest. Ozawa certainly on for some solid points there, but I don't think he'll be happy with not being in this podium fight at the moment. And then that much bigger group that's, yeah, chopping and changing all the time in that fight for 5th place.
Just saw it there, a perfect example of the finish line being moved back. In years gone by, Pratama used the slipstream, and by the old finish line, he would have crossed the line in 1st. Incidentally, this time around, he crossed the line in 2nd. So that's something that the riders will obviously be aware of.
Something to rehearse, I would say.
Coming into this weekend, they'll have definitely known about it and rehearsed it. So in years gone by, coming out of the final corner in second, or even where Adaki is now in third place, getting a nice little double slipstream, as we've seen so many times here in Qatar, especially in the lower classes. That's probably the best position to be in. But nowadays, because the finish line's been moved a good, 50, 100 metres back, that's not where you want to be. You really want to be leading out the final corner. As long as you get a good punch off the corner and the rider behind doesn't get an absolute barnstormer coming out of the final corner, then you're probably going to cross the line first.
And as long as you're Andrea Dovizioso, traditionally. But yeah, absolutely, it is a bit different here. The speed trap's in a slightly different place as well, so that last bit of the lap doesn't really affect the result too much, but it was an interesting question we've had so far. So yeah, it's all pretty much as you were at the moment then. A little bit of calm has taken over this fight for the podium, but it's that very familiar number 7 that still leads it then. Ogiwara in second, Adaki at the moment just in that third position, but you can see the gaps really not getting bigger, and they're changing concertina corner by corner. I've no doubt the number 14 will be right back on them again in a couple of apexes. So yeah, it looks like this is going to be our battle for the top 3 places in race 1 here. And yeah, I'm sure there's plenty happening in that second group as well, but at the moment it's kind of a high-speed chess at the front. You can see Ozawa now also got plenty of gap back to that battle behind him, but that fight for the top 5, last time at a timing point it was Takahira at the front of it, and yes, it is indeed the number 9 then still leading this battle. But let's see, I'm sure there could be a few turn 1 shuffles coming in both of these groups.
Yeah, Ogiwara just pulling out the slipstream. Pratama, as you might have seen there, and you can see it on the graphic now, to 11.341, was still just under a second away from the all-time lap record that was set back in 2015. It's getting a little bit too close for comfort down at turn 1 though, in the battle for the top 5. That was Mitani shoving it up the inside of the Malaysian Farish Hafai. The number 19 had a good weekend last time out on home turf. Race 1 ended in disappointment for Hafai. He was in the lead of the race at one point in the podium positions, then unfortunately, like a lot of the riders in that lead group, crashed out. But you can see there live championship standings. Adaki in the top 3 as things stand. Will be taking a bit more of a commanding position into the final race of the season tomorrow in the race for second in the overall standings. The number 14, which is exactly what he would have wanted. The number 12 of Marianos Nicholas, the Australian, just running it out wide there on the exit of turn 5. This is a nice little battle ongoing, and as we go back to the leaders, Ogiwara is climbing all over the rear wheel of Pratama. They're not letting Pratama get away here. The number 16
tiny bit of a twitch
14.
there. Did you see the number 7? Just a little bit of a twitch. Maybe here, I mean, 6 laps to go, or 5 after this one. Maybe this is him trying to say, okay, it's time we're off. What are we going to see in this replay this time then? Turn 1. So very
classic
close
slow-mo.
Classic slow-mo. Beautiful, beautiful liveries shining under these floodlights. And yeah, first ever night race. Some good shots there. Some quite different routes around turn 1 as well there. Adaki certainly seems to arrive very late into that shot, but gets it nice and gathered up as the number 14. So here we go then. It's Pratama, Ogiwara, and then again, just those couple of extra meters back to Adaki. But let's see if they exist by the time we get down to the next apex. I suspect they will not.
Yeah, Adaki just keeping his powder dry. 5 laps to go. Crunch time in race 1 here in Qatar. Pratama still leading the way. Ozawa now 5.2 seconds back from the lead. So Ozawa's race is run in terms of trying to fight for P1 to 11 kilometers an hour down the front straight as we go 5 abreast into turn 1 in this group.
Exactly, yeah, you can see the huge difference then. That slipstream makes it 10k. Adaki behind 2 riders and Ozawa completely by himself. And then yeah, this group then, it wasn't even all about the slipstream in the end, was it? It's just an absolute bar fight around there. But let's see who's going to come out on top then. At the moment then, it's the number 12 of Marianos Nicholas, who's made some good progress after what I'm sure he thought was a bit of a disappointing qualifying for the Australian, but he's at the head of this group at the moment then, and at the head of the race is now Ogiwara. It's not Veda Pratama, so the Japanese rider has taken the lead after spending quite a few laps tagged right behind the number 7, so it'd be interesting now, maybe he's trying to pull a Pratama and just get the hammer down and try and disappear here and not have to fight it out quite as closely.
Spoke to Ogiwara after he finished on the podium for the first time this season back in Malaysia race 2, and he wasn't as happy as I thought he'd be after finishing P3. He is absolutely desperate for that first win of the season, is Ogiwara on the number 16, and he's in the lead at this moment in time. 4.5 laps to go as we focus in on Ozawa. Very lonely race for the number 21 of Ozawa. Just can't quite keep up with this leading trio, but Ogiwara then has taken the lead. Would have been interesting to see, potentially get a replay of what happened to Pratama,
to
whether
see
it was
how he lost it out there.
Whether it was just a good overtake from Ogiwara or Pratama made a little bit of an error.
We did see that tiny little twitch, like you said, on the last lap around, was it? I'm losing all sense of time. But yeah, so the number 16 then leads the way, but is still very, very close in this trio. And I think last time around as well, Adaki was actually the fastest. Like we said as well, when you do have those two machines ahead of you punching that hole for you on the main straight, you can see he was 10k quicker. So let's see what happens this time around. But Ogiwara done a really good job out of the final corner there to have a little bit of breathing space. And it is, in fact, the rider who is at the back of the train who's going to make it all the way to the front then. That is what it really is worth, to be able to tuck in and take that.
Pratama.
Very close
contact.
there. I was going to say, I don't think that's going to fit there, but Adaki then keeps that lead. Bit of a scare between the two right on the chase behind the number 14 then, but no harm done ultimately. Let's see what we've got next time around. They need to be careful there. It's very tempting to just go straight for an open door, but you've got to remember they are going to still try and cut you off.
Yeah, turn one, like you say, Fran, there's a couple of different lines. You go in faster and take a little bit of a more wider sweep-in line, where you can turn in a little bit later and cut right through the apex, which is exactly what Pratama was trying to do on Ogiwara just then. There wasn't much room to go at there for Pratama. I feel he was just being a little bit too eager, was the number 7, to try and make up ground again. But a little bit of a scare, but no such worries. They're all staying on track, but that's maybe just a little bit of a preview what we've got coming up in the final 3.5 laps. Sadaki, like I say, kept his powder dry, was just probably assessing the two in front of him, learning a couple of things where maybe the duo behind him right now was strong and maybe where they're weaker and where he can potentially be making time up in the last 3.5 laps. But he is leading this moment in time. Pratama slips down to P3. How long will Pratama be there for? My guess is, Fran, not for long.
Yeah, I would say not for long either, but I don't think he'll be pulling that trick today. It looks like these two are ready for that. So, oh yes, just a bit of contact there. You can see Ogiwara's like, what is happening here? But yeah, 2 into 1 does not go, but luckily no harm done. Just see, obviously, Ogiwara trying to cut down the inside of Adaki there. Pratama's already committed to taking that inside line as well, and just not enough space for 3 in 1 there, but all still upright. No dramas in the end. Let's see what happens this time around then. Now we've got Adaki at the front of the trio, and they're all fanning out then as well down the main straight. Who is going to be latest on the brakes?
3 laps to go then here in race 1. Adaki won the race over the line by just under 0.5 of a second, so it potentially is possible to come out of the final corner in second if you get a good run and finish over the line in first place. This is the battle down throughout the top 5. Hafai the inside of Puetazan, Takahiro on the number 9 still there. Matani slipped down to P9, so this is bad news for Matani in the chase for P2. Remember, he sits in P4, Puetazan in P7. It's bad news for him as well, with Adaki out in the race lead, and Nicholas on the number 12 has just escaped this group slightly in the final 3 laps, so that's good news for Nicholas.
Yeah, so you can see a bit of daylight there behind the number 12, the Australian. Is going to be, I'd say, up to about a second now probably. He's really got the hammer down in that fight for the top 5. But it's an interesting race then today, isn't it? Very different to maybe what we'd expected looking at the grid. But yeah, Ozawa as well, still in that bit of space in 4th place. That's a solid 13 safe points if he keeps it upright. But he'll be looking for a lot more for tomorrow after watching 3 really key rivals disappear to make this a 3-way fight for the win. I'm not sure, I could see just in the background of shot there, but I think that was actually not the leaders. I was like, oh, what's happening at the front? But yeah, great job then from the number 12. Like we said, Marius Nicholas come from really quite a long way back on the grid to move up into that top 5 then. But yeah, some interesting moves, given some grid positions. The likes of Al Sahuti not been able to move up too far on home turf at the moment. And then the likes of Nicholas really on a charge there from well outside the top 10 on the grid. Here we go then. It's still Adaki at the head of the race, is it? Yes, I thought Pratama was even going to try around the outside there, but no. So we're still locked together, this trio, in the fight for the win. And here we go, another chance to visit Slipstream City. How are you going to call this?
2 laps to go. Pratama tucked up behind the Slipstream, doesn't quite win the race to the line. Adaki does, but immediately Adaki goes from P1 to P3, it looks like. Ogiwara on the 16 on the outside line. Pratama cuts across. Is he going to lead into turn 1? Yes, he is. Adaki slips into P2 with Ogiwara at P3. This is going to go all the way to the checkered flag. 2 laps to go. Now it's all about who can try and outfox the other. Pratama has done that oh so often. 7 wins to his name, Pratama, remember. Adaki has 1 win. Ogiwara has 0 wins. So Ogiwara is, his intention, are quite clear, to win the race. A podium won't do for Ogiwara. He wants to win so badly. Adaki wants to win to try and make his position in the championship that ever stronger. Pratama,
oh, that was very close there. Very close, but nicely done in the end, all under control. But it's Pratama then, once again, who leads this race. And I am surprised given that incredible advantage he had on pole. It's like 1.2 seconds more than. It's really, I mean, a little bit ridiculous. Really impressive lap from Pratama. But then this makes Adaki and Ogiwara's performances in this race really impressive as well. We know the Indonesian is the benchmark. He's come out swinging this season and really asked some questions of his rivals. And the fact that Adaki and Ogiwara are still very much in this with just 1 more lap and a bit to go is very impressive. You can see though, there's a few meters starting to appear. Do we think that the hammer is down from Pratama to try and make a break, or do we think they're going to be able to get back on the rear wheel of the number 7?
Absolutely think the hammer is down, Fran. This is a fantastic penultimate lap from Pratama. I don't think he's going to potentially break clear of the slipstream heading on to the kilometre-long front straight as we come round to the final corner for the penultimate time. A great lap from Pratama, but Adaki and Ogiwara are still there and well within slipstream. So this is it then, the final lap coming up. Pratama fires his Honda out of the final corner. Adaki right in the slipstream, Ogiwara too. Ogiwara's got a great run out of the final corner. He comes up alongside Adaki, the duo in Pratama's slipstream. This is the number 21 of Azar, but we want to be watching the trio at the front. They've crossed the line going into turn 1. What's going to happen into turn 1? It's last lap time here in the Asia Talent Cup. I can tell you what we saw across the line. It's Pratama. This is the group battling it out,
for second, and it looks like
T5.
Adaki has taken the lead then at the front of this race, and this battle then getting a little bit fiery as well in the fight for 6th place, I think it is. Nicholas still well ahead. Here we are then, back at the battle at the front. So it's Adaki, like I said, the timing screen's helping us out there without the picture. The number 14 leads this race then, and they're still so close on this final lap.
Adaki then holding the lead so far. Pratama, I thought he was going to have a lunge up into turn 6 there, but thought better of it. A quarter of the lap done. The top 3 are locked together. Pratama eyeing up a record-breaking 8th win of the season. Ogiwara looking for his 1st win of the season, and Adaki looking for his 2nd win of the season. The number 14 runs slightly wide there on the exit of turn 7. They flick it left through 8 and then right through 9. Turn 10 coming up is a popular passing manoeuvre for Pratama and Ogiwara. Are they going to make it stick there? No, not quite. Adaki doing well to hang it late on the brakes through turn 10, and then they power it through the fast turn 11. Fran, we're coming up to the final few corners. Oh, yeah, around the outside from Pratama.
Yeah, I was going to say, wow, okay. The number 7 really eager to take this one. Oh, Adaki looking for a bit of an open door then. He looked tempted to go for it, but no way through. And it is still then Ogiwara who leads this one. The number 16, really impressive stuff here. Pratama, though, very close. Is he going to go for a move?
Not quite this time around.
I thought maybe we were going to see that number 7 just jink out from behind the number 16, but no. Here, is he going to go for a move this time around? No, it's Adaki instead making some shapes. And the number 14 trying to make that stick. Very close there.
Oh, he's down! Is that Adaki that's gone down? It is on the number 14. Adaki has crashed out at the final corner, and it's going to be Pratama who nicks it across the line from Ogiwara, waves the hand across the line. Pratama wins his 8th race of the season. Ogiwara finishes 2nd, and drama at the final corner. Can you believe it? Eamon Adaki, good to see him up on his feet, and after all that, Azara is going to stand on the podium after only racing P4 for the entire time. Is Adaki going to get his bike back up and be able to cross the line?
May well. It wasn't a super dramatic crash, was it, in terms of rider and machine? Looked pretty okay there, but yeah, what a heartbreaker then for Adaki. He is trying to get it restarted. It's just about to, yeah, there we go. A chance of points has now officially gone as the rest come over the line. Then the number 14, late heartbreak there after doing such a long race, battling at the front in that front trio. Looks certain for a podium, and it's gone at the final corner, and he's angry. Very angry, and understandably, Eamon Adaki. But, well, what a dramatic end once again in the ATC then. And Pratama signalling as well to Ogiwara there. Want to know what that conversation was about on the way to the finish line.
I think he might have just been celebrating, Fran, to be honest.
I think so. I don't know. He also looked at Ogiwara a little bit more. Here we go then. Here it is.
So that's what we missed then on the last lap. Odaki slinging at the inside of Pratama.
It is indeed. So, yeah. So here we go then. This is where we think... So that's Ogiwara taking the lead then earlier on that final lap, and then we're going to see eventually we're going to see the number 14 then. It was a little bit optimistic, wasn't it?
It was, but he got the job done. I think, Fran, judging from that, he was a little bit offline on the inside, and as we know here, it's a little bit dirty offline, and unfortunately he's probably just had a little bit too much of the rear tyre, obviously trying to get the power down as soon as possible, and it's unfortunately flicked him over the top. As I say, great to see him up on his feet, but
yeah, all right, is definitely okay there, but what a bit of a heartbreaker for Adaki then. Like you said, he'd so very nearly got the job done, but no, it was not to be, and he's had some last lap heartbreak already this season, hasn't he? At least he's got one more chance at it tomorrow to try and replay that and get the Dovi style nailed a little bit more. But yeah, so it is Veda Pratama then, the Indonesian superstar in the making, back on the top step once again. A little bit of luck to that one for sure, but also another masterclass in how to make your own luck at times from Pratama. And Ogiwara then, so close over the line in the end after they both had to kind of bunny hop back on and make the best of that. It's 0.094 between the top two over the line. And like you said, Ezawa taking that podium in the end. A solid race from the number 21, and Nicholas therefore moving up to that 4th, keeping a little bit of clear air, in fact a lot of clear air in the end, the Australian. And then it's Takahira who heads that 2nd group fight in the top 5. So yes, plenty to talk about, and I'm sure for these guys as well, plenty of data to look at ahead of the 2nd crack at it they have tomorrow.
Yeah, that's Nicholas's best result of the season up in P4 for the young Australians, so a great job from 17th on the grid from the Australian. A fantastic ride from Marianos Nicholas. He can
see, I was
sleep
getting
well
excited
tonight.
About it, and then you were like, and I'm like, have you definitely seen he was in P17? It's a really good charge, that.
It's a fantastic
Great job.
charge.
We love a charge. But yeah, so here we go then. Ezawa can understand, maybe, obviously be very happy to get that podium and those points, but knows he did have a bit of a deficit to those couple ahead of him that we'll be definitely looking to cut tomorrow. Look, have you ever seen anyone more dejected in getting a podium? Come on, it's still a very good race. You got to
I have
finish.
Last time out when he finished a close second in Malaysia.
Bless him. But yeah, of course he did manage to finish that race and take those points. And yeah, I'm sure that he will be the first looking at exactly where the others were making that difference to just be able to create that gap. And I think the sunglasses are back.
They have made a return.
Even though it's now night time.
Even though it's night time. Well, it's good to see them back. Anyway, a dramatic finish here in the Asia Talent Cup. It is Veda Pratama for an 8th time in 2023 who wins from Ryota Ogiwara under a 1/10 of a second, splitting the top 2 across the line. Ozawa claiming another podium in P3 with Nicholas and Takahira rounding out the top 5. Zembatani was P6 with Quetazan in P7. Hafai and Singapong are inside the top 10 with wildcard rider Mohammed Bin Laden finishing inside the top 10 in P10. A great job from the Saudi Arabian rider. Al Sahuti, the home hero, finished 11th, with Rasaidin, Gading and Melandri and Darwizi completing your point scorers. Good battles going on from P10 to P16 on the timing screen, judging from those. This is your Riders' Championship heading in to the final race of the season, and look at that. What was potentially a 20-point advantage for Adaki going into the final race of the season, and has now seen him, slip to P3 with Puetazan jumping up to P2. Mitani, is still in the hunt in P4. Agiwara has climbed into contention as well. What a fascinating basketball P2 we've got playing out tomorrow. Do tune in for that. Takehira is in P6 with Azawa staying in P7 despite his podium. Al Sahuti, Farid Shafai and Nicholas rounding out your top 10 in the overall standings. Farid Putra, Jesse Melandri, Fadia, Russo and Rasaidin are in the top 15 with Singapong. We mentioned him earlier on, the Thai rider who will be with us full time next year, but he's competed in 3 wildcards this year and picked up 33 points. So fantastic stuff from Singapong with Darwizi, Wan Moon, Chavan and Adipucha rounding out your top 20. So it is podium time for the penultimate time in 2023. And for the 8th time, it will be Veda Pratama standing on the top step. Azawa, for the first time this season, will be standing on the box in P3. It's the first time he's not finished P2 on the podium this year, so every cloud, I suppose, but he'll be wanting to finish higher than P3 tomorrow, of course.
That's really looking for some optimism there.
Yeah, I thought I'd just try and lift his mood.
Try to take the edge off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Look at that spectacular new building there lit up in the lights. Like we said, it was pretty dark when we got underway, but now it is truly nightfall here in Doha. Look at that lovely sparkling new podium as well. It's an honour. ATC goes first this weekend.
Yeah.
To try it out.
Yeah, of course, coming up this afternoon, qualifying in Moto 3, Moto 2, and then the Tissot Sprint.
Tissot Sprint.
Tissot.
You've gone for that, have you?
I went full English with Tissot. Tissot Sprint coming up later on. Do tune in for that, of course. I assume if you're tuning in for the Asia Talent Cup, you will be keeping a keen eye on proceedings later on this afternoon.
You never know.
No, you never know. True. But yes, we can see the riders on the podium any minute now. They're taking a while to make their way up or to come out onto the podium.
Not sure if you can tell, but the event is sponsored by Qatar Airways. It's great actually because the colour is also lovely. It's making a great palette this weekend. I'm a big fan of it.
It's a great facility. They've done a great job, of course, making it what it is. And under the lights, as we've said at the start of the programme, Fran, it's just a completely different kettle of fish to what it is in the day. For me, it's one of the best layouts on the calendar.
Yeah, it's always been a great layout and a great track, and now the paddock and all the facilities certainly more than match that, and it's fantastic. So are we going to get the podium? Are we having some last-minute dramas?
I do hope so, because the Indonesian national anthem is quickly becoming one of my favourites.
Really? So you're just in it for your own listening pleasure?
For pure selfish reasons, I want the podium to take place just so I can listen to that.
I'm sure the genuinely almost millions watching Veda Pratama from his home nation of Indonesia are also very, very keen to hear their wonderful national anthem once again as well.
Just see them on the left-hand side there. I think they're pretty much ready to come out onto the box. Of course, race 2 coming up at the start of the day tomorrow, 2:35 local time. So do tune in for that. So here we go then. Azawa comes out first. Will stand on P3. Another trophy to add to his 2023 collection. There is Ogiwara for the second race in a row, standing on the podium. And then for the 8th time, a record-breaking 8th time, Veda Pratama will stand in the middle on P1. Tayo Furusato's record of 7 wins in a season has now gone.
Oh, that's a contentious one there, because it was a full set.
And it was
a full set in a shortened season.
Yeah, you're right, but Pratama's won 8 and Tayo won 7, so...
That's me told then. Okay then. Here we go then. All of the trophies mirroring that lovely layout of Lusail International Circuit. And then finally the trophy for the winner, as you say, for the 8th time, record-breaking Vader Pratama. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Indonesia. And then we'll enjoy your national anthem once again.
What a national anthem, Indonesia. I suppose we'll be hearing that many, many more times in the years to come. I'm sure listening from home, I am now not the only one that's a mega fan of the Indonesian national anthem.
Seem GP pit lane reporter Jack Appleyard certainly is. Here we go then. This is the highlights of another stunning ATC race. Talk us through it, Elliot. It was Pratama who got that great start, and we had plenty of spicy moments on the way to that win.
We certainly did. The top three quickly became apparent that they were going to be fighting out for victory. Azawa in 4th place couldn't quite keep tabs on this leading trio of Pratama, Adaki and Ogiwara. The lead was changing plenty of times. Turn 1, of course, a popular passing place here at the Lusail International Circuit. And it all came down to the final few laps. Adaki in the lead on the final lap with Pratama and Ogiwara following close by. And this was the last lap, the final corner. Adaki up the inside, thinking he got the job done, but then that happened. A high side coming out of the final corner. Adaki all okay, tried to get his bike back up to cross the line and claim some sort of points, but in the end it was Vader Pratama on the number 7 who cruised past Ogiwara to claim his 8th win of the season. Pratama does it again. The final race of the season is coming up tomorrow. We will see you then. Goodbye for now.